Going live, alive, on the air. Thanks for joining me for this discussion on libertarian communism. What is it? Is it going to be good for the country? Good for the planet? I think so. I like it. Let me start off by saying, please do not go to Wikipedia to find out what libertarian communism is, because they redirect you to something called anarcho-communism, which is rather different from libertarian communism. I don't know why Wikipedia, whoever decided to do that, why they decided, I don't know. But I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I think it's very different topics. Because libertarian communism is a combination of two principles, communism and libertarianism. Libertarianism is all about freedom, maximizing freedom. It starts with the root word of liber, which is the Latin word for freedom. So it's really all it's about is maximizing freedom. Whereas communism is from the word communism. Community ownership is what really communism is all about. It's communalism could be another word for communism. So if something is communally owned, that is communism. Oftentimes there is a confusion between the Communist Party and communism, the principle of communism. I don't know why there's such a confusion there. Why there's to identify the party, namesake party, with the principle that it's named after. There's no such confusion, say, with the Democratic Party and the principle of democracy. But for some reason, people identify the principle of communism with the Communist Party, which I think is a big mistake. And that's the big mistake that the Communist Party made during the 20th century, is that they ignored the principle of libertarianism in forming their governments. And I believe that the will of the people is what really makes up a country and determines its success or failure. And by implementing authoritarian governments, especially under Stalin, that crushed the will of the people. And without the will of the people, you don't have a vibrant country. And then as a result, you have a failed state. In order to have a successful state, you need to have a vibrant people that have basically a lot of freedom to explore and live the lives they want. They feel like they need to, or however they want to live their life, as much as possible, without imposing their will on other people. And then as a result, we need to come up with a way to maximize that kind of freedom. Unfortunately, mainstream libertarians in this country have this huge blind spot where they don't recognize that how much of a tyranny poverty can be by way of powerful elite corporate capitalistic interests. That often squashes freedom. It's very much of unfettered capitalism is very anti-libertarian due to the poverty that it induces, and where it requires individuals to work long hours under harsh conditions, which minimizes the amount of free time they have to live the lives that they want to live as they see fit. So that's where communism comes in, whereby the people's what is owned by the people, the wealth of the nation, if it is gathered together as a whole and it's pooled together, then the foundation can be laid where all the necessities of almost everyone, can be met, so that once those necessities are met, then people can go about living their lives with maximum freedom, without having the burden of having to work so many hours just to make the minimum amount needed to maintain the necessities of daily life: food, shelter, medicine, all the basics. Whereas with libertarian communism, That's all about collectivism for the sake of individualism, where we are maximizing the resources for a maximum number of people. And so, but as a result, there is a trade-off where some individuals will not be allowed to get as wealthy as they want to. But that is, I would not consider that to be, I'd say that'd be a lower priority compared with allowing more people to live their lives with maximum freedom. And I think I lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh yeah, I was going to discuss next how we are already in the United States, have many of our cherished freedoms are the result of that sort of collectivism for the sake of the individual, maximizing the individual freedom. That can be perhaps best exemplified in our public roads and highway system, where we often take for granted, including the libertarians, take for granted that these roads are created by public ownership, communal ownership. These roads and highways are owned and operated by the government. And without that kind of ownership, all the freedoms that we cherish regarding being able to having the freedom of the open road could be gone. As soon as we say, for instance, we're to privatize those roads and those highways, for instance, I mean, just going out our front door at the end of the driveway is a public road typically. Suppose that was privately owned, and if private ownership was the case, then they could just either charge us exorbitant rate just as a form of like extortion, just as a charge of toll, just as we want to leave our front driveway and get onto the road. You can charge us whatever they want if we want to go anywhere, just to leave our house. Or they could say, hey, I don't want anybody on my road. It's my road. I'm a private owner. I can decide what to do. It's my property. I can do whatever I want to it, and I don't want you on it. So they could just set up a fence, and you couldn't get out of your front driveway. You'd be trapped in your own house and yard. That's as far as you could go. Otherwise, you'd be trespassing on this private owner's road. And, the same goes for the freeways and the highways. If you want to get anywhere, you need to go on the public roadway. And right now, as it is, in most cases where it's publicly owned, everybody can go, regardless of economic class, as long as you got a car or bicycle, or you can walk on the public sidewalk. Anybody can go anywhere, wherever they want, free to go. Your freedom has been maximized by public communal ownership. That's communism. Has brought you the freedom to go wherever you want on these roadways. That's how communism can help maximize freedom. Then we can say the same for our local parks. I'm gonna go out and frolic in the park, run around the grass, whatever you want, basically, as long as they follow the park rules. Some basic rules we need to all follow to get along. But if you want to go to a public park, usually you can just go there whenever you want. That's freedom. It's brought to you by the government owning the property, and not some private owner with the big fence keeping you out. You might be like looking there, I want to go in. You got these big bars keeping you out. It looks like a nice greenery there. Look at all the nice grass and trees and stuff. And then you probably some rich person behind there doesn't want you in there. And no trespassing signs. That restriction on your freedom is brought to you by capitalism. Private ownership has restricted your freedom to go into that land. There could be a public park. So your freedom to wander, to go or do what you want, has been limited by capitalism, by private enterprise, has squashed your freedom to go about your business, to move around. So because those private owners of that private land won't let you in there. So capitalism is often a bigger tyranny than anything. But if that was communally owned, you could go in there. If that was a public park, no fence, go Oh, you get to go wander around, frolic in the grass, in the trees, and then go wherever you want. Do whatever you want to do, basically. But when where there's capitalist, private enterprise, greedy billionaires that own the land, you don't get to do that. So that's why we need to expand communism, communal ownership, expand the government ownership of lands, and other forms of utilities. And we need to expand public ownership so your freedom can be maximized. But we need to make sure that's the reason why government exists, is to help maximize the freedom of the individual. Government does not exist I should say the people. They do not exist to support the government. That's the big mistake of the old Soviet era 20th century Communist Party communist systems. They got confused and started thinking that the people existed to support the government. That's the big, huge mirror. We need to always keep in mind and have all these protections of our freedom. The Bill of Rights. The other countries that don't have a Bill of Rights, they need to start one. They need to, so that we can be sure that it's very clear that the government exists to serve the people and maximize their freedom. Then you can start building a libertarian communist system where people's freedoms are maximized. And that's basically my idea, my vision of what libertarian communism is. That's all I have for now. I'm gonna probably come up with some more videos in the future discussing libertarian communism. I think it may be the answer for society, to improve society and create the closest thing to utopia in this world. Well, thanks for watching, and good luck.